Welcome, and thank you so much for joining. Today, I want to talk about human values across the lifespan. The project happened in collaboration with Time magazine, and it surveyed over 80,000 participants to better understand human value change. Reflecting on my own, still arguably short life, I realized a lot of change has happened. I'm still very adventurous, but achievement increased in importance. And since becoming a faculty member last year, I'm suddenly thinking about security as I never used to. I spent last week reading on tax-optimized pension plans, and I'm a bit ashamed to admit I didn't even find it boring. So what does the literature say? Developmental research does not find convincing evidence for value changes, with the existing evidence often being conflicting. But studying value change is really difficult for three main reasons. Firstly, longitudinal samples just tend to be small. They're often underpowered for detecting more modest changes. Secondly, the samples are normally in school setting, meaning that the age variance between participants is extremely low. We might, for example, only have students that range from 11 to 13 when the study starts. And then lastly, the time frames are very short. So 2-year observation periods would rank among the best ones, and with other studies looking merely at months. So if we don't find changes, it might not really be that astonishing. So trying to improve sample diversity and size, but being well aware that with this we're bringing in cohort effects and other shortcomings of cross-sectional research, my collaborator, Professor Gvirtz at UBC, worked on a pop science quiz with Time magazine. And all questions people filled out are psychometrically validated short messages. So people could donate their data at the end if they wish to do so. And luckily for us, 80,814 did. So what did we do with them? So we first focused on describing value change, improving our conceptual understanding. We subsequently predicted value change as us understanding it systematically should allow us to predict it systematically and allow us therefore to also benchmark our findings. And then lastly, to scrutinize the applicability of our findings and find out boundary conditions, we used a simulation-based approach. So what did we find then? So let's first look here at the higher order value, openness to change. Overall, we see it decreases across the lifespan, but this is constructed by three basic values, namely its self-direction, stimulation, and hedonism. And if we now note and look exactly, it's actually only hedonism that decreases. So by looking at the aggregate level, would have likely drawn the wrong conclusions about openness to change. So similarly, if we look at the decrease in self-enhancement, it is purely driven by loosening of importance of achievement, not by power, which might even slightly increase here. We can from here go a level deeper and look at the individual items we constructed achievement with. We call them nuances. And here we would see that people still want to go ahead. Becoming successful is what decreases most. So throughout our predictive models, we find that value nuances contain more age-sensitive information than basic values, which already contained more age-sensitive information than higher order values. And this mirrors great work happening in the Big Five domain, for example, by René Möthers. So lastly, we did a little simulation exercise. We randomly drew 2 participants from a training data set, predicting which one is older purely based on the values they hold. And while we're only right about chance when participants are almost the same age, for the larger age gaps, we have an accuracy of over 80%. And this might also explain, in part, the previously inconsistent findings in the literature, where studies looked at different frames and samples. So in conclusion, we find that aggregation leads to a loss of critical information. We also find that aggregation might create conflicting results where nuances diverge. And third, we find that aggregation significantly reduces predictive power. Our research has also brought some nuances in the value literature by firstly showing that for half the higher order values, the basic value it consists of diverge in their development. To go even further, we have also looked for the first time at the nuance level, which we believe to be one of the next frontiers in personality research. Thank you very much to my wonderful team of co-authors, and looking forward to discussing this and other work with you in more depth at SPSP. Thank you.